Tagwe bona mkabe blani menelele press de kojo na mabe de vio so te kono le blene oh te kono me blena more to foji akbosone ka ho no igbina hero tagwe o mi juba mama mi juba que le vont pour la table de bec blano la te kono me blena mo awo te kono me blena mo la no vi we te kono me blena mo awo te kono me blena mo de kono me blenamo, I want de kono me blenamo, la fofo de kono me blenamo, I want de kono me blenamo. Oh l'America, beta fua jagbana baba we. Oh le Tamania, beta fua jagbana baba. Oh le Côte d'Ivoire, beta fua jagbana baba we la fofo. Oh le Benin, beta fua jagbana baba. Oh fofo ye baba, dada ye baba lo. Fofo ye baba, dada ye baba. Então, não sou na rua, e eu sou pneu. Vou ali, sou sua rua, e tô chinês. Tô fodiado, bolsona, come on! Oh, de cano me blenamo, amo de cano me blenamo, la novi we de cano me blenamo, amo de cano me blenamo, oh, de cano me blenamo, amo de cano me blenamo, la fofo de cano me blenamo, amo de cano me blenamo, oh, l'America, beta sua jagbana baba we. Ole Tamania, beta sua jagbana baba. Ole Côte d'Ivoire, beta sua jagbana baba we. Ole Benin, beta sua jagbana baba. Oh fofo ye baba.
Atela manhã com la voix humana, sutura que a minha mãe. Atela manhã com la voix humana, na roma chura que a minha mãe.
Gago, bedega, brekete.
Au! O catupa mata vola paje cunha de bona. Tagba ele ojo mai, toma lo toko ma do kombo. Topo de la magbatila lo. Mano mamu che na na kama to na senti ora. Wa shi ro ba de chi blomana. Mi ploma ya ma jo pe ma bi nya de ka jo pe nya se. Ya shi asha manu na mu. Ma tagbe agbra manu. So ma de so ya na maleka. Echichi ma le ye wu. Punya ma we nye amazuko no. Madama ha joglo. Seka do mara. Oni kaye mataleka. Na ma gbonya nyu ozu mu nya ko. Po ma koko ma nya ko no je na gba no enye ha ma no nya do ma ko. Na te peto to abeko ke a onye ma china ti gomo. Agbono ko mu te
pe wonder Prince Okoko Easy GH much love yeah. Please whilst you join me kindly share the link.
Kagbaele ojoma zogolo togo matokongo tomalo makodu wadiade topotela mapatilele mano maunte nana kama tuna sanjiwanamu ashiro bade chibro wenae mi kron maya majope ma bienya de ka jopenese ya shi asia manu namu agbe manu somede sayana malae ejiji malae unyamawe nyama sukono madama ha jogo esekae do malae Kwalikae makaleka, na mazonya ni wazonya bon.
Kuma gogo manya hola o jana bana nya manu nya kumako. Nya te kwato to me ko ke a o ne ma jira ti gomo. Agbana o ko un te pe. Agbana la o ko un te pe. Ma de do nya de ma na o e. O de nya ma mo pe. Agbana o ko un te pe. Agbana la o ko un te pe.
Yes, number Francis, much love, yeah. Yes, Lambert, much love, yeah. Greetings to all the UK folks, yeah. Yes, to all my followers on TikTok. Blessed love, yeah. Blessed love, blessed love. And to all our followers on TikTok, much love, yeah.
Des mélodies, Nikiti Sebeleman, Jetula. Prophète Sena Amoussou, number one, Jetula. Le roi des atomes nous, Jetula. Jetula. Jetula bebe. Jetula. Et puis là pour toi, ben des babé, Jetula. Et puis là pour toi, ben des babé.
Ela mama.
If you like what to be the heba be chema. If you like blood to be your heba be dima. Ela vem. Tetula klevo. Be fu pour la tombe de be na ketchup. Be tatine na tomate pour be mado. Amaka me compre na ko buncho. What be que le colonne. La vie tombe na no me fu. Eso tobe kubinaso. Becha chulalo. Chula bebe. Afio manya, afio gama liwade. Mate mapo. Si haje chukwa on. Ela bede vimu la kamanya. Imu bana checha uje. Chula. Ela chango dogo. C'est toi bébé, y'a trop la sema. Et villa, c'est toi bébé, y'a bateau pour vraiment. Ne bagne pas poecha, elle a tché. Ne batte pas poecha, elle a tché. Elle a tché, goto. Chitula. Jetula. Vous pour la tombe de Bena Jetula. Jetula Clevo. Jetula.
be chenchora bededo ela cha fila blonto be nya heba be dipima ela cha el kibo be mau ya bebe mundo ela cha mau zobole sa bebe mundo ela cha prophet say no bebe mundo
Jinjina tomato bobo madura megama gospel na to bobo wa bekele kolone
ela be fi mo proclamanya iwo bona chencha chula
Cha.
ela cha gudu chula
Tagwe bona mkabe blani menelele press de kojo na mabe de vio so te kono le plane te kono me blena more to foji agbozone ka kokwa no gbina yero gbagbe omi juba mama omi juba que le vont pour la table de bec blano la te kono me blena mo amo te kono me blena mo la no biwe te kono me blena mo amo te kono me blena mo te kono me blenamo, amo te kono me blenamo, la fofo te kono me blenamo, amo te kono me blenamo. Oh l'America, beta sua jagbana baba we. Oh le tamania, beta sua jagbana baba. Oh le Côte d'Ivoire, beta sua jagbana baba we. La fofo, oh le
who is currently following us. Within the next 5 minutes, we're gonna move into action. Yeah? Within the next 5 minutes, we're gonna move into action. Yeah. So please, where you are, wherever you are joining us from, much respect. Yeah, and try your best to share this link. Let it reach Kakakona Katan, the 4 corners cardinal points of the world, which originally symbolized the ark. Yes, it's a deep knowledge that we shall share knowledge on. The ark that we say is the womb of life. Trust me, it goes beyond that. Yes, it goes beyond that. Trust me. That is what our ancient fathers described as what? Kikakona. It represents the 4 cardinal points of the world. The middle represents life. Sure. Today's presentation is going to be mind-blowing. That is why I want everyone who is joining us or joining me now to share the link. Sharing of the link is very important. Let it go out so that this knowledge
Minana nyama suwana yinka. Yate. Minana nyama suwana yinka. Yate. Nkanya suba. Vodu. Nkanya suba. Vodu. Nkantinya suma voduro.
Kwana nyaji. Lama usogoli samani komo. Jiniato akpa pamako. Yate.
Nkenyi vodu yako.
Vodu yako. Oweni ma udola kokwe gato. Ina ma uso pata sona la nibani.
Yes, upload the mouse. Much love, yeah. Yes.
Vodou Sassan. Vodou Sassan. Vodou Sassan.
Oh, no, we're now a legend. How do you want to know? I find I'm a blend. Hey, I'm a blend. I find a go. Hey, I'm a blend. I'm a better. I find a go. I found a young dracopon. Papa, jump for 2 men. Ekele mamu je fetuma kaka dimbo alele olomi la hola e ade banchile aona menye balo banchile obe afandra ko menye balo banchile aona menye balo banchile obe afandra ko menye balo banchile aona menye bala banchile awo no blena wane jenungolo tagdo penuanu wo ya afaya me blena no. Hey, I'm a blend more. I find a go. Hey, I'm a blend, I'm a better. Oh, I find a go. I'm a young dracopon. Fafa, the good woman. Beggar, Mamu Jafetuma. Kaka, Dimbo. Alele, Ulomi la Hulae. Banchili, how no menye balo banchili. Ove afandra ko menye balo banchili. How no menye balo banchili. Bereka meibo kagoma kafai Kukua kafana mbe mekana yakumeji Pachagamo nalo Lunto jokple wakpa bagola tintima wachu Gola katima ukao Buko kafana mbe mable kokluwa Banchili Aona menye balo banchili Owe afandra ko menye balo banchili Aona menye bala banchili Kojo bena ye nye bana milo banchili Aona menye balo banchili Bereka meibo kagoma kafaye Kukua kafana mbe mekana yakumeji Pachagamo unalo Luntu joklewa
Ati o pata fose Yawe nyazangu gomi vagemundo Logwa zangu opose Yawe nyazangu gomi vagemundo Ati so opose Yawe nyazangu gomi vagemundo Atiga opose Yawe nyazangu gomi vagemundo Aho dito Konsinyavalu domine ne poli blenke Emledo Mava omne, mava tune koko. Nakweliko mava omne, mava tune. Nakweliko mava omne, mava onu joswera. Nakweliko mava omne, mava tune. Nakweliko mava omne, betola omne koko. Nakweliko mava omne, mava tune, mava omne. Nakweliko Akbabina viombo savoga kama kula toko zupo ba fupeti no atenziga kono vya na mijwa wado ngondoro buji watan ya go woni konjo papa so hongama beri manye so mo yana so to na beno emule do
Agbenu yesena mo onae, kudabla mo vile. Agbenu yesena mo onae, kudabla mo vile. Agbenu yesena me onae, kudabla mo vile.
Professor Voodoo, the professor of voodooism. Much love, yeah.
Boli kudabla mo vile. Agri sur le poteur de Keraï, n'a me blessé, les tuas, Mahou Malon, Tok Bio Malon, un mola de Sériton, de ne pas les bloquer, Fa, Alioya, Alioya,
Yes, first and foremost, let me use this opportunity to welcome everyone to today's presentation. My name is Nufialaga Maupomo Kobla Nonyibe, your humble but fearless teaching high priest. And as we usually do, though the last chant, I would say chant, ushered us into this presentation, but you know, I have to also acknowledge the universe, our great ancestors, the energies, the elements, everything that makes life beautiful on this planet or on this dimension. I acknowledge them specially, because without all this that I've mentioned, life would be unbearable on this planet. What I'm saying, I know most people may not understand, but with time, we will understand. You understand? Yes. And let me again also use the opportunity to say, a very big thank you to Khe Kon Akata. When I say Khe Kona Kon Kata, it means the 4 cardinal points of the world. And someone may ask, why acknowledging 4 cardinal points of the world? I believe some of you might heard of the name the Ankh, which a lot of people have used for chain. We talk about the Ankh, but we don't understand. All that we know of the Ankh is what? It represents womb or life. Well, let me do a brief education on the purpose why our Asian fathers drew that thing that we call the Ankh today. Briefly, before I go into the main section. In the Ewe language, which is one of the oldest languages on this earth, and mostly in my language is known as the language of the gods. We say Khe means the world, the universe. Kun, the 4 kun means the 4 cardinal points. So in the ancient past, our fathers were having this knowledge on how to set all these energies controlling these 4 cardinal points together. So when they put it together, they use symbols to represent some of these things. And that is the symbol. So the 4 cardinal points, you understand, the 4 cardinal points that when you put together represent something like the cross, was not actually known as the cross. You understand? But let me use it to represent for the purpose of this lesson. So the cardinal point. So the middle, where the 4 corner, the cardinal 4 cardinal points meet, is life. The womb of life. That is why when you are a woman, I'm not going to go too deep into this because today this is not the lesson we are bringing. I'll find time to do a presentation on this because it goes all the way to connect to the human body. So the 4, if you are a woman, you shouldn't abuse your body because your body is an energy on its own. So when you allow any negative energy to sleep with you, to have an affair with you, your body, your spirit, your everything, your energy level, everything is start to deteriorate, to pollute itself. And you no more become that powerful person that you are. Well, that is not the topic for today, but I just chipped in that for the purpose so that we all take some few notes from that. Okay, yes, now let's go into the main topic today. Today, our topic is African culture before the arrival of the Europeans. African culture before the arrival of the Europeans. You see, the funny thing is that our beautiful continent for years has been described as a dark continent by those who claim to have founded this land. Africa has been described as the dark continent by the European explorers for much too long. And some of us, we continue to sing along these lies. And we think our beautiful continent is a land of negativity. Until today, most blacks think that Africa, the land of Africa, everything about Africa is evil and demonic. That is how we have been brainwashed to think. Again, we were also miseducated to think that Europeans brought us civilization. Yes, that is how we were educated to believe or to think that actually it was these Europeans that brought us civilization. But the question we as Africans should be asking ourselves is that all that is written about us negatively by European historians are true. All the negativity that has been projected about Africa by the so-called European historians, is it true? We as an Africans, have we asked ourselves those questions? And if we have asked ourselves those questions, then we need to start to think deep. We need to start researching into stuff. We need to start digging much more deeper. Because remember, the man who enslaved you, the man who colonized you, the man who claimed they have discovered you, would never give you a history, a system, and a God that will save you. They will never. So for us, this generation, we the young ones, the generation of today, must learn and research into our past in order to tell our own stories. If not, the generation after us will keep following the lies that were set by the liars who came in the name of exploring or exploitation. Let me put it that way. Africa is bleeding. We don't control our educational system. We don't have what we have today is misleaders that we call leaders. Their loyalty is to their Western puppets. Our current leadership cannot tailor an African solution to African problems. Every time we are looking to the West, to the solution of our problems. When we don't have the same problems, when we have different cultural backgrounds, when we have different history, how do you expect the generation after us to feel or to think about us? So it is time we rewrite our own story. Right? Today, we're going to talk about African culture before the arrival of the Europeans. Now, before we do that, we're going to talk about how the Europeans came about. How old are they on this dimension, right? Then from there we come to our own culture. Then we're going to compare and contrast to find out whether did we learn from them or they learned from us. Africans are in bondage because we have thrown away our own knowledge systems, and we are following a knowledge system that has nothing to do with us. Folks, trust me, I am not against science and technology. No. I am not against development. I am not against. What I am against is science of evil, technology of destruction. That is what I am against. So, now, before the so-called European exploration began, our Asian fathers
Power off.
have already explored the world. Now let me repeat this. Before the so-called European explorations began, our Asian fathers have already explored the world. Now, when the descendants, let me read this side. When the descendants of Gehazi were in their dark ages, our Asian fathers were advanced scientifically with divine science, where nature and animals were respected. Yes. So, before these descendants of Gehazi were in their dark ages, trust me, our Asian fathers have reached a level where they have never seen that before. We practice science, but a science with respect to nature and animals. Our Asian fathers know everything about herbs. They were curing themselves with herbs. There were no sickness that our Asian fathers could not use herbs to cure. And to know the combinations of herbs, then you must be well learned. So your Asian fathers were so knowledgeable. Do not be fooled that our Asian fathers were primitive. Those who told you, or those who told us that our Asian fathers were primitive, they could not read, they could not go to school, among others. Folks, that is a lie. If my Asian fathers can read and write in their local languages, then they had a better education. Unlike today, for instance, in Ghana, to be able to go through the school system or to be able to get good education, you must learn English. When you don't speak good English, they laugh at you. Those days we were in school, they even laugh at our local languages. When you go to school and you speak your own indigenous language, they were termed as what? Vernacular. And you may be even be caned for for speaking your own local language. But go to France today. They speak French. That is their native language. Go to Germany. They speak German. Go to Russia. They speak their own language. Well, but in Africa, we have been forced to speak European languages, or to take European languages as our national language. The Chinese, they speak their own language. The Japanese, they speak their own language. The Arabs, they speak their own language. So you see the damage that the descendants of Gehazi So, you understand what the descendants, or the damage that the descendant of Gehazi have caused us. I know when I mention about Gehazi, the descendant of Gehazi, someone will be asking me, who are this? Who am I trying to refer to? Don't worry, that is the next step of the presentation. I believe those of us who were once Christians will understand the verse that I'm coming to read, or might know about the story behind Elisha, Naaman, and Gehazi. Now, let me make this thing clear. Until 6,000 years ago, everyone on this dimension, on this earth, this planet, were black people. I am not, for the sake of clarification, I am not teaching racism. I am only setting the record straight. I'm only setting the record straight for all of us to understand. You know, before we have been beaten around the bush, this time around, we need to say it as it is. We must learn to swallow the bitter truth. And that is the only way which can set our soul and our minds free. Freedom, total freedom, is not given on a silver platter. You have to fight for it. And that is where black people must rechannel their energies into. They've succeeded in putting the culture of fear in us. Now, let me read. Now, let me tell you who, let me read and then explain to you who the descendants of Gehazi are. Forget about the story that they told you about the children of who? You know, Shem, Ham, Japhet, the story telling you some of the child came white, blah, blah. They are all lies. It is only the black woman who can reproduce a light-skinned people. So now let's proceed. Let's go to 2 Kings chapter 5. We're going to read from verse 19 to 26. I read, "Go in peace," Elisha said, after Naaman had traveled some distance. 20. Gehazi, the servant of Elisha, the man of God. Now listen, when you are reading the Old Testament and you come across words like the man of God, what are they? Who are they referring to? They are not referring to today's pastors, that reverend bishops, archbishops that we have in our society today, but they are referring to a diviners. The Fa priests, the Ifa priests, they were known as what? The man of God, because they can divine your problem and tailor a solution for you. And that is why in the past they deceived them as what? Men of God. Remember, Fa or Ifa is the mouthpiece of this universe, is the mouthpiece of the gods. Right? Okay. So 20, Gehazi, the servant of Elisha, the man of God, said to himself, my master was too easy on Naaman, this Aramean, by not accepting from him what he brought. As surely as the Lord lives, I will run after him and get something from him. That is Gehazi speaking. 21. So Gehazi hurried after Naaman. When Naaman saw him running towards him, he got down from his chariot to meet him. Is everything all right? He asked. 22. Everything is all right, Gehazi answered. My master sent me to say, 2 young men from the company of prophets have just come to me from the hill country of Ephraim. Please give them a talent of silver, 2 sets of clothing. 23. By all means, take 2 talents, said Naaman. He urged Gehazi to accept them, and then tied up the 2 talents of silver in 2 bags with 2 sets of clothing. He gave them to 2 of his servants to carry them ahead of Gehazi or Gehazi. 24. When Gehazi came to the hill, he took the things from the servant and put them away in the house. He sent them away and they left. 25. When he went in and stood before his master, Elisha asked him, where have you been, Gehazi? Your servant didn't go anywhere, Gehazi answered. 26. But Elisha said to him, was not my spirit with you when the man got down from the chariot to meet you? Is this the time to take money or accept clothes or olive groves or vineyards or flocks or herds or male and female slaves? 27. Now listen to the 27. A curse was pronounced on Gehazi here. Now, 27. Nameless leprosy will cling to you and your descendants forever. Then Gehazi went from Elisha's presence, and his skin was leprosy. It had become as white as snow. I think that is the verse 7, 27. So, 27, let me repeat it again. Nameless leprosy will cling to you and your descendants forever. Then Gehazi went from Elisha's presence, and his skin was leprosy. It had become as white as snow. Now, folks, let me break this down for you. Today, when you go to Wikipedia or you Google trying to find the meaning of leprosy, they have deceptively redefined leprosy. And they will tell you that leprosy is when your hand, they will tell you leprosy is when your hands start to eat up or shrink. But when you read the definition of leprosy according to the Bible or the Old Testament, it did not say that. Now let me give you the real definition of leprosy. There are two, you see, they try to replace, a minute. They try to replace Hansen disease with leprosy. They are not the same things. Now, Hansen disease is when your fingers, your toes start to shrink. In Ewe we say akbodo. Akbodo. You start to shrink. Your fingers start to shrink and start becoming small. That is Hansen disease. That is not leprosy. Leprosy is when your original color, for instance, me, my face or my color turning from black to white. That is leprosy. And that is why you see verse 27. Now listen, verse 27 of what I've just read said, nameless leprosy will cling to you and your descendant forever. And they say he left the leprous as white as snow. So this is a Hansen disease. When your toes start to shrink and go inside, it's Hansen disease. It is not leprosy. Leprosy is when the color of your skin starts to change from its original state. And when you read, I think, Exodus chapter 4, verse 6, thereabout, where they say God asked Moses to put his hand into his bosom. And when he put it and he removed it, his hand was white, leprosy, white as snow. And they say he was asked to put it back. And when he did, it was restored like the rest of his body. So automatically Moses was a black man. Naaman was a black man. Elijah was a black man. All those biblical prophets, you see, the people were all black people. Don't worry, I'm gonna break everything down. So there's a difference between Hansen disease and leprosy. Leprosy is when the color of your skin starts to turn to white. Hansen disease is when your hands, your fingers, probably your toes start to shrink. So there are two different things here. But when you go to Google, when you go there to trying to Google it or go to Wikipedia, they've changed so many things. They will tell you that Hansen disease and leprosy are the same thing. They are not the same thing. They just don't want you to see where their generation started from. And don't worry, we are going to break it down for everyone to understand. So you see, when you read 2 Kings, right? 2 Kings chapter 5, find time to read the whole verse. And what I'm saying will make sense to you. Right? So that was how Elisha cursed Gehazi and their descendant. And you see that the curse came with a condition. It said, and the leprosy of Naaman will cling to you and your descendants forever. Folks, how do you understand the word forever? Permanent. So it means that any offspring of Gehazi is going to have a light skin. So what happened? When you continue to read, it tells you that Gehazi left. And when he left, where did he go? Now, Gehazi then left that geographical location and settled in the Himalayan mountains to preserve himself. He dug caves and settled there with his families. So you understand, when Gehazi, after being cursed, and his entire body became leprous. You know, those who have this condition. Let me use this example for this teaching for purpose of this lesson, called the albinos. Have you seen the albinos? Yes. Albinos, in particular, those who are born here. When the sun is too hot, the visibility is difficult for them. And the same thing happened to Gehazi. So Gehazi left to the what? The Himalayan, yes, the Himalayan mountains to preserve himself, because that part of the world going, it's cold. And that is why in history, others describe them as cavemen or barbarians who live in a cave. This is a bitter truth that you will not find in their textbooks, in our history books, because today they are dominating the world. So they have redefined everything for you. So how then can you use his system to beat him? You can't. Now, I would like to play a video before we proceed or we continue this. I would like to play a video for you to see. It was a white European who was telling, or who was making a video to say how black people how black people, how our Asian fathers came to Spain to rule them. Folks,
one day. Why? Because white people, they came showing themselves as superior to the black people.
Some of you might watch this on social media.
Things that black people taught them. You know, what we don't have in our history books is that the civilization we have in Europe today was brought to us by black people. Even black people don't know that. Even many black people don't know that. They don't know that the Moors, they were West Africans and North Africans and Central Africans that came to Europe and ruled Spain. They brought civilization to us. They showed us how to use soap, how to be clean, how to behave like a decent human being, you know? All these things we didn't know that before the Moors brought civilization to Spain. Did you know that the Moors ruled in Spain for 700 years? Where is that in our history books? It's nowhere to be found. Because why? If you are giving black people that power of having once ruled over white people, wouldn't black people start like kind of questioning, oh, we were once at that point of having such a power in a white man's country over white people. And where are we now? So of course they have to hide that history from you people, because knowing your true history is knowing your true power. And knowing your true power means you break out from that system of racism.
Is just speaking the truth.
As much as you can, because you can't. If white people will not stop racism,
let me repeat it again.
Stop.
You see, this is a video of a white woman telling you that you, the black man, that your Asian fathers, the Moors, came to Spain to rule them for 700 years. They came there to civilize them. They came there to teach them how to use soap, how to bath with sponge. Our Asian fathers went to Europe to teach them personal hygiene, to teach them how to take care of themselves. Now listen to the video again.
Why? Because when white people came to Africa, they came showing themselves as superior to the black people, digging out things that black people taught them. You know, what we don't have in our history books is that the civilization we have in Europe today was brought to us by black people. Even black people don't know that. Even many black people don't know that. They don't know that the Moors, they were West Africans and North Africans and Central Africans that came to Europe and ruled Spain. They brought civilization to us. They showed us how to use soap, how to be clean, how to behave like a decent human being, you know? All these things we didn't know that before the Moors brought civilization to Spain. Did you know that Moors ruled in Spain for 700 years? Where is that in our history books? It's nowhere to be found. Because why? If you are giving black people that power of having once ruled over white people, wouldn't black people start like kind of questioning, oh, we were once at that point of having such a power in a white man's country over white people? And where are we now? So of course they have to hide that history from you people, because knowing your true history is knowing your true power. And knowing your true power means you break out from that system of racism as much as you can, because you can't. If white people will not stop racism, black people cannot stop being victims of racism. Okay, that sounds like I'm victimized.
Well, folks, you've heard from the horse's own mouth. He said that the Moors, your Asian fathers from West Africa, came to civilize Europeans, taught them for 700 years. For 700 years. Now, it is not only that I only played this video for you to see, because when I am saying it, you may think I am making it up. But when you hear some of this thing coming from honest white people. Kwame. You said she sounds like she has been colonized by Ghanaian. Yes, you know, some of these Spanish and some of these things, their English is as bad as everybody. So, you know, it's part of those things. So, but the important thing is that we understand the powers of the message. The message itself. We understand the message. You understand. So he said, our ancient fathers, black people, came to Spain to teach them how to bath with sponge, soap, and among other stuff. But she asked a very good question here. She said, today, all these things are not found in our textbooks because they know if they put it in our textbooks, we will once know how powerful our ancient fathers were. And we will stand up to defend what is rightfully ours. We will stand up to defend who we are. So you see, the truth is out there. You understand? The truth is out there. And we shall continue to educate our people to understand. Now again, aside that woman's video, there's another history. There's one great warrior, an African warrior called Hannibal. Search the historians among us, which you search it. There used to be this great warrior called Hannibal. Hannibal moved his army. And again, not only human army, but he has an army of elephants that he has trained. He moved them all the way to Europe, Rome. He went to conquer them, defeat them. See, Africa is full of great kings and queens who have made history. But as they always say, the ant always glorifies the hunter. So until the lion comes to tell his own story, the hunt will always glorify the hunter who comes in to tell you yes, it's the hunter. You understand? Yes, Kwame, I understand you. Currently, our true enemy, as you rightly said, yes, I agree. It's our so-called political elite. I agree. We will come to that. We are not going to leave them off the hook as well. Currently, they are part of the problem because they love to sing the songs of their masters so that they can have the opportunity to continue to steal from the people. We know that. Okay? But right now, we are discussing life, African culture before the arrival of the Europeans. Yes, we need to say this because the generation today have been so much miseducated or indoctrinated to think that everything African is bad, everything African is evil. And we have to let them know the source why these things are happening. Okay? So, Hannibal took his army to Europe, to Rome, also ruled them for over 700 years. So, when you talk about Africa, it was no cheap continent. It's the land of great people. Now, let me tell you, anytime Europe then degenerates into something, just as it is happening today in Europe, our ancient fathers always find ways and means to go there to redirect them, to put them right back to humanity. Europe was so much into, some of you should go and search about the dark ages in Europe, and you will understand what I'm talking about. Anytime they go beyond humanity, we go there to reset them back. And it has started already. A child is born in Europe and Americas, and he is asked, a child who came from the mother's womb, either male or female, is asked to choose his gender again. What do we see? A whole society is in a mess. And gradually, all these things are being imported by our political elites into our system. Now, let's look at the Wikipedia definition of European Dark Age or Dark Ages. The Dark Ages is a term for the early Middle Ages, that is 5th to 10th centuries, or occasionally the entire Middle Age, into bracket 5th to 15th centuries in Western Europe after the fall of the Western Roman Empire, which characterizes it as a marked by economic, intellectual, and cultural decline. So, when we talk about dark ages, we are referring to one, economic decline, intellectual decline, cultural and moral decline. And that was what was happening in Europe. They fell totally to the ground. I am not saying this. I only copied it from Wikipedia. So you see, our ancient fathers, the monks, have to go to Europe. Now, there's this term here I would like to read so that it won't look like I'm the one saying it. Now, the concept of a dark age as historiograph periodization originated in the 1330s with the Italian scholar Petrarch, who regarded the post-Roman centuries as dark compared to the light of classical antiquity. The term employs traditional light versus darkness imagery to contrast the era supposed darkness into bracket ignorance and errors with earlier or later periods of light into bracket knowledge and understanding. So automatically says that light means knowledge and understanding. So it was this Moors who went there to fix these people. Okay, so now the story of the woman makes sense, except you don't want to accept the reality. Now, it is time we go back to the main topic. Now let's look at life in Africa before the arrival of the Europeans. Now, for me, life was beautiful in Africa before the arrival of the Europeans. But that doesn't mean we were not having our own little challenges. Yes, but life was very beautiful in Africa before the arrival of the descendants of Gehazi, or before the arrival of the Europeans. As I said, that doesn't mean that we were not having our own challenges. We need to be honest with ourselves. We were having our challenges, but our challenges were not as bad as what they brought to us. Now, before the European came to West Africa, let me say to Africa, we were having empires, we were having kingdoms. And in order to have a kingdom, an empire to rule, and everything was running in order, it means that our people were civilized. We're taking care of business. We were having our own systems. Now, some of you may know about the ancient Carthage. You understand? Now, according to Wikipedia, it says ancient Carthage was an ancient Semitic civilization based in North Africa. They always play with words to play with your minds. Before the Arabs came, all these lands were black people. Right? And you remember the first university to be built in Africa was in Carthage. They were built by black people. When we had that, Europe was still in the dark age. We were having our own universities. And when someone graduates, he's given a white horse, and a sword. These knowledge systems were there. So those with the mentality that the Europeans brought us everything is totally wrong. It's totally false. Aside that, before the arrival of Now, before the arrival of the Europeans, our ancient fathers had already built different empires. One is what I mentioned, Carthage. We have the old Ghana Empire. The Ghana is spelled G-A-N-A, Ghana, not Ghana. We have the Mali Empire. We have the Songhai Empire. All these things were in West Africa. before the Europeans came. And as I already said, to have your own empire, your own kingdom, you rule with a system. It means that we have our own system that we were ruling ourselves. Now, to build an empire and to rule for years requires intelligence, wisdom, and understanding. And this shows that our ancient fathers were smart people, were so wise. Now, before the European came, the term science is English, is European. They call the search of plants and other stuff about human system and other things, they put it together and call it science. Because they branded this and call it science. And they package this for you. We think that our ancient fathers did not know anything about science, which is wrong. Our ancient fathers were so much knowledgeable in science. And I know you agree with me. If you don't agree with me, then hear me out. Our ancient fathers know about herbs and plants. They were curing themselves of various sicknesses. If you are not a scientist, if you are not blessed with this knowledge system, how would you know the medicinal values of herbs and plants? So stop belittling your ancient fathers and yourself. We practice a divine science where animals were respected. So many things. We had so many things. Listen, let me give you this example. Our ancient fathers have ways and means to travel. And I'm going to give you an example of myself and my grandfather. Even then, I have not grown like this. I remember when we were in Accra, those days when we were kids, and school was on vacation. My parents, or our parents, they take us to the countryside, the village, to go for our holidays. And when school is about to resume, they come back to pick us back to Accra. Now, I had the opportunity to meet my grandfather. His name was Geoffrey Anumu Nonyibe. One day, we went for holidays in Ahi, our hometown. Then, after spending some few days in Ahi, because he was having another house in Kata, so they were calling him Katato, at Kaji area there. So he decided to take us to Kaji or Kata, the other house. That side is sandy, so that we love to play in the sun there. So we went. No, he told us that early tomorrow morning by 4:30 a.m. we are leaving. That is dawn. We are leaving the house. But then we were kids. But you know, when I grew up doing my research work into stuff, and then realized what happened there. So we waked up, prepared us. So there's a footpath that we were taking to. In those days, you gotta walk or walk a distance before you can pick a car or get a car. That is, if you see some on the road. Now, when we started the journey through the footpath, it got to a point he asked us to wait. He moved into the bush. He came back with some herbs. And he just asked us to hold his hands. He hold our hands, rub these herbs around our palm, and told us to hold each other. Folks, the next thing we realized, we were home in Qatar. And it was a sunny thing. So when we go home, we were kids. We were happy playing in the sun. We were just enjoying the sun. He vanished with us. Within seconds, we were in Qatar. So, folks, our fathers were having some serious knowledge system, serious powers. But today, we will see these powers as evil, as demonic, because we have been indoctrinated and brainwashed. So we see all this knowledge system as evil. I've been, during my research works, I've been to places where people can take the shell of a snail, insert herbs, and they can be communicating with each other from one end to another village. But because it was not modernized like this mobile phone, you call this evil. People can put water into a calabash and they can be talking to each other, video call. They will see each other. And they will be talking to each other. They will see each other. Water in the calabash. And they will be communicating. Is it not a video call? But that one, because it's in a calabash, an African way, you call it evil. You call it demonic. I've seen things with this my naked eyes. So our ancient fathers were civilized in their own way, according to nature. Their science and technology was not destructive, was not to destroy nature. Today, with the kind of science of evil that we practice, today what do we see? Pandemics everywhere. Strange sicknesses, strange diseases everywhere. We experiment with animals and then leave them into the world, dump them into the world. We create biological warfare in the name of science. We have created atomic bombs. Biological warfare, creating, using science to cause signs of evil, cause destruction to your fellow human beings. This is science of evil that I'm talking about. I am not against science or technology. You understand? Science does not mean we should destroy the environment. Technology doesn't mean we should create evil system to destroy the environment, to destroy nature, to destroy ourselves. Yes, when our ancient fathers were in, as my brother would say, the integrated science with nature, they respect everything on this dimension. Look at the science of the descendant of Gehazi. The world is in a mess. Why? Because of greed. Our ancient fathers never used science, technology, knowledge as a weapon to destroy. Yes, sir. Now let me show you another video. If if I tell you our ancient fathers were scientists, were beautiful scientists, believe me, natural science. Yes. Now let me tell you, do not think that it was the Europeans that came to teach us about how to do surgery. Now let me tell you, the first, how do I put it? Skull operation was conducted by the black man, by a black herbalist, by a black scientist. But you see, the Europeans describe him as what? Witch doctor. When an European invents something, is given title, doctor, professor, and among all other stuff. But when a native man comes out with his own, when a native doctor uses his science to prepare a skull surgeon for several people, not one, without anesthesia, among other stuff, that one, they call him witch doctor. So you as an African, that they've described your surgeon, a native doctor who can perform a skull operation or surgery, and they call him witch doctor, even the title alone, witch doctor, will you go to him? Answer my question. Now let me play this video. I tried to share this video on my Facebook page some years back, and my account was restricted for 1 month. Well, I want to play it from a third phone whilst I'm doing this thing, and I hope they will not restrict my account. But I have to do it for the purpose of this presentation, so that black people should be proud of themselves. The only way we can change our narrative is to research into our own, because you can't beat them at their own game. Let me play this video, then I continue.
The swamps. These leaves are poisonous if taken in. To have great healing power.
Okay.
Hairy leaves are used as swabs. These
Now
leaves are
watch.
poisonous if taken internally, but considered to have great healing power. The operation is about to begin.
Sorry.
Green hairy leaves are used as swabs. These leaves are poisonous if taken internally, but considered to have great healing power.
Listen to the commentary well.
The operation is about to begin. The universe holds its breath at the audacity of man. No anesthesia here. No hypnosis.
No anesthesia.
Only the psychosomatic belief and faith in one man, the witch doctor.
The witch doctor.
Opening of the cranial cavity is the most delicate of operations. Modern surgical requirements are one sterile nurse, one instrument nurse, two circulating nurses, not sterile, one anesthesiologist, the chief surgeon, his personal assistant, a resident neurosurgeon.
Now he's talking
the interning physician
about
attached to his
the
staff.
modern European surgical
Operating
procedures,
facilities,
the
the
things
low
that you
minimal
need.
requirements,
But this
surgical
man
lamps,
did that
sufficient power to operate,
without those things.
one tank medical oxygen, blood of the proper type and factor, 500 units. Opening time, approximately 3 hours, depending, of course, on lack of complication. Surgery varies. Closing time, 2 hours or more. After 3.5 hours, the patient is tired. She is given something to drink, some water. The witch doctor and his assistants take time out to wet their mouths.
The witch doctor and his assistant. When it is
They are
African,
as casual as their
he is
patients,
described as a
all
witch
evidently
doctor.
sharing the same
Listen to the
complete
commentary.
confidence in the skill of the witch doctor. The surgical team enjoys the beer. The patient is given some gruel called uji. Obediently, the patient resumes her position for the continuation of surgery. Skull surgery.
Now I'll
Revelation
find
in the
ways and
outback.
means to do this
oxygen,
video. I'll
no
find ways
surgical
and
lights,
means to
no
present
scrub
it
nurses,
well
no
in a short video.
anesthesiologist, no neurosurgeons, not even sanitary sterile conditions.
Nothing.
And yet, the chances of survival? 96%.
All the things he mentioned
Better than in
were
a London
supposed to be there, but he doesn't
So
have
say
but
the old
96% of survival.
Europe, America, New Africa. They all know much, but understand little.
This is an African performing a surgery years back. Years back. With no anesthesia, no surgical equipment, that thing alone. And the sad thing is, if you look at the commentator, he described him as a what? A witch doctor.
The patient's head is washed clean with the old scrub water. Warthog fat is used as a dressing. What condition is the operation directed against? Anything from cancer of the brain to simple headache.
Cancer of the brain.
Strips of banana leaves are used to bind the
You
wound
understand?
shut. No stitches here.
No stitches. They use banana leaves to bind the brain.
And after 7.5 hours, with a large hole in her skull, there for the rest of her life, the patient walks away. And it is a time for the doctor. Time for him to show the results of his skill. Other trepanations.
Now,
others with permanent holes
it is
in
not
their
only
skull.
this guy
Holes
or this
covered so
person.
thinly by scalp that each person must wear a head garment to protect his brain from the sun. There are such examples of the doctor's skill. One person has had 13 such operations, a hero of his people. It is an honor for a people to have a great and successful witch doctor among them. A witch doctor's power over his people and their blind faith are all a part of life and death in the old Africa.
You see, said the witch doctor and their people and their blind faith is all part of the old Africa. Look, that is the last commentary that he made. But you see, they will never show you this type of videos. When the European doctor does it, they call it, they call him doctor, right? Or surgeon. But when a native person does it, he's described as a witch doctor. Folks, Africa, we must wake up. We must wake up. The people today we are disrespecting as witch doctors, native doctors, were once the people who were controlling and healing, curing our people. If you listen to what they mention in that I suppose this native doctor is supposed to have, he didn't have those things, but yet still he successfully performed. And according to the commentator, the survival rate is 96%. Only 4% making 100% with no mortality. Yet still you describe this man as a witch doctor. Africans must wake up. We have been indoctrinated and brainwashed to let go our own. How are we then going to build on our own? That is our predicament now. We have been pushed to do away with our own and to hold on to someone's. So the question is, how do we then research into our own? Well, let me proceed. Life, African culture, life before the arrival of the Europeans. Let no one fool you. Let no one tell you that your Asian fathers were primitive. They were not. Now, again, they said that the Europeans brought the Bible to civilize us. The question is that true? Is that true that the Europeans brought the Bible to civilize us? Well, even with their Bible in their hands, they rape your mothers. They rape our mothers. They rape our sisters. At 9 years old, they sodomized boys. They did evil, unthinkable evil. That is why we describe them as barbarians. Things that the normal human beings will not do. They are easy, they can do it easily. And they said the Europeans brought Bible to civilize us. Now, no problem. Let's go deep into it. We are getting close to the end of our presentation. Let's look at one or two things. Now, before I even go into that, in my promo picture or information that I posted earlier on, right? I use charcoal and Colgate charcoal. I remember in this recent past, because I witnessed it, people were using the plantain head, the head of the plantain, and they mix charcoal with it to clean their teeth. Some also use chewing stick. When they chew the stick and it gets to a point, they dip the stick, the chewing stick, into charcoal powder, into a charcoal powder, and they clean their teeth. Some also take the chewing sponge, which is free from chemicals, right? They chew it, got to a certain point, they dip it into a charcoal powder, and they clean their teeth, and their teeth becomes white, odorless. Yes. But you see, we were brainwashed, we were miseducated, we were told that that is primitive, that is colo, that so many names were called to it. The Europeans succeeded to put so much negativity into use those natural means to clean our teeth. But you see, today, they've rebranded it for you. And they have Colgate charcoal toothpaste. Now they even have Pepsodent. They have all the brands. They use charcoal now in their process. Yes. They brainwash us to see our own as bad, as evil. But today, they've rebranded Colgate charcoal. The same charcoal that we were using with the chewing stick, with the banana peel or plantain peels, to whiten our teeth, to make our mouth odorless, and it prevents dental problems. Remember, just recent past, those who were using chewing stick, the chewing sponge, among others, it was not only to clean our teeth when you're using the chewing stick and the sponge and the charcoal and stuff, not only to clean our teeth, but also to protect our gum naturally. To protect our gum. Today, we have been brain damaged. We have been brainwashed to see all these things as evil. Right? But today, with what they've introduced for us, what do we see? Dental problem is on the increase. People are visiting the dental shops every day. Africans, we need to praise. We need to be proud of what we have. We can modernize those things if we choose to research into them. If we left ours in that state, who do you expect to come and do that research in order to polish it for us? They told you that using chewing stick and charcoal to brush your mouth, among others, makes you primitive, makes you a villager. They call you so many names. I remember I traveled during my research works. I traveled to Togo, Parliament precise, and I visited my uncle in a village called Yokele. Those who know those areas, they understand. In the evening, you see, when you visit my uncle, he has created his own village and he was having about 12 wives, right? 12 wives. His children were uncountable. Now, when you go to that area, he is the chief yam farmer. Trust me. He's the chief yam farmer. Even people from the northern part of Togo come to work for him and he pays them. In his compound, he has some tree. I think I need to go back to look for that tree. It's not any heavy tree or tall tree. It's like a plant tree. After, you see, when you go to him, when you visit him, we all the male, all his male, let's say his sons, and family members who come. If you are a male, you all join him. So we all eat with him together. Whilst we are eating, we are not only eating with him, but he also teach us how to eat with elders. Now, and the girls also will eat with their mothers. 12 wives, they were all in one compound. They rotate the cooking process. Everybody was at peace in the village. Now, after we all finish eating, I will go back to go and look for that plant and reintroduce it back. It's just a plant. It looks like a tree or a flower tree. So everybody after eating, they go and break a piece of it and they use it like toothpick or to chew it. Now after chewing it, your mouth becomes so odorless. It prevents other things from, wow. And we've thrown away everything. Yes, Tutu Sao, much respect. Yeah, much respect. Yes, we are our own ancestors. Yes, we are spiritual people and we don't die. We only go through the recycle process and come back. So when you sit down and you insult your ancestors, you are insulting yourself. If you say your ancestors are not wise, it means you yourself, you are stupid. That is how it is. So folks, there were so many things that we were. Dental problem was not part of African problem. Diabetes, all some strange sicknesses were not part of this. These are imported sicknesses. When we came in contact with the descendants of Gehazi, because they are not looking at humanity. They are looking at capitalism, how they can make more money. They don't care how many people they destroy in order to make money. But the question is, after making all this money, and you destroying people, what is the use of you? You just want to earn the title, a billionaire, a millionaire. What next? If you are a billionaire or you are a millionaire and people around you cannot afford square meal a day, you should be ashamed of yourself. Yesterday, I met some community nurses, about 4 of them. They were passing on my street and I bounced of them. I know one of them, and we start having a conversation. And what they were telling me, these are community nurses. They go to the communities. Folks, people are suffering. They were telling me about some even children who are malnourished because their parents cannot even afford 3 square meals a day. Yesterday in the evening, I shed tears. When the Almighty, when the universe have blessed us with everything, why should that be? Why should people be malnutrition or malnutrit? How do you call it? Malnutrition or something? In today's world. Well, folks, let me not, it seems like I'm getting too emotional. Let me not divert from what I am teaching. So, is it true that the Europeans brought us the Bible to civilize us? Yes, malnourished, my brother, that is the right word. Thank you very much, Kwame. Hey, Kwame, you are owing me some few dollars. It has been a long time. Try and come back home. Since your last visit, you've not come home. Come back home, all right? Let's roll and go and visit the elders once again. Come back, okay? So, we are still on our topic. African life or African culture before the coming in of the Europeans. Now, after all the examples that I've given, I want to go into the Bible, especially the Old Testament. And we're going to look at 2 things, and we'll bring today's presentation to an end. Folks, I want to talk about circumcision. Circumcision. Now, let's look at the definition of circumcision according to Wikipedia. Because I'm using Wikipedia because we see it as a trusted platform for information. So, circumcision, let me read. A hood of skin called the foreskin or foreskin covers the head into brackets glands of the penis. In circumcision, the foreskin is surgically removed, exposing the end of the penis. Okay. Now, that is the definition of circumcision, which I concur. I agree with them. Totally. That is what circumcision is all about. Now, before I want to say what I have to, let me read Genesis chapter 17, verse 10 to 12. Now, I know some people send me message that why do I, when I'm teaching, I try to use the Bible to make this thing. They use the Bible against our ancient fathers to enslave us. Folks, trust me, if these people have succeeded in using the Bible to create mess, to deceive us, to control us, it is time we need to undo that by using the same format, the same formula for our people. Perhaps as time goes on, you understand that the Old Testament, before it was heavily corrupted, was written by our ancient fathers, by our black fathers. Now, Genesis chapter 17, verse 10 to 12. I read, This is my covenant, which you shall keep between me and you, and your descendants after you, and your descendants after you. Every male among you shall be circumcised, and you shall be circumcised in the flesh of your foreskin, and it shall be a sign of the covenant between me and you. And every male among you who is 8 days old shall be circumcised throughout your generation. Now, there are several verses that talks about circumcisions in the Bible, both in the Old Testament and in the New Testament. Now, so the Bible talks about circumcision. But folks, do you know something? Our ancient fathers have been doing circumcision for millions of years before the European brought the Bible. Are you with me? Our ancient fathers, till date, till now, we have been doing circumcision for millions of years before the European brought the Bible. So the question here is, who copied from who? Help me with the answer in the comment section. The Europeans that brought the Bible, and the same Bible is talking about circumcision. But before the European brought the Bible, we have been doing our own circumcision for millions of years. So the question I am posing to you, my beautiful followers on Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok, is that who copied from them, or they copied from us? The answer is simple. They copied from us. Because before they brought the Bible, we were doing circumcision. And again, let me make it simple. You see why I told you that our ancient fathers wrote the Old Testament before it was corrupted? Yes. Because we were doing it before the European brought it. The Europeans never brought us circumcision. And as a matter of fact, the Europeans, they don't circumcise. Trust me. I've seen one or two of them. It is hanging there like a rope. Hey, folks. Yeah, sometimes you need to laugh out, man. You understand? They don't do circumcision. It's just recently some of them are doing circumcision. Even when you go to Israel, the so-called Jews, the European Khazarian, the European Jews that are in the land of Israel today, they don't do circumcision. But their own Torah is talking about circumcision. You see how we have been tricked for much too long? Yes, we've been tricked. So, you see, before all this, I told you, there are several things I'm going to teach about the Old Testament. About 60 to 70% of everything in the Old Testament has African origin, as the black origin. If you know your history, if you know your culture, if you know your tradition, if you know your spirituality, what I'm saying would definitely make sense to you. Today, the black man have become like a vulture, chasing after every culture or vulture. So we were doing circumcision for millions of years. So the question again is, who copied from who? Now again, we are going to look at another thing in the Bible. But I talk about circumcision that has to do with us, the men. All right. So now we're going to talk about one that also belongs to the women. Right. So let's go to Leviticus chapter 15, verse 1. Leviticus chapter 15, verse 19. Leviticus chapter 15, verse 19. I read, when a woman has a discharge, if she discharge in her body, if her discharge in her body is blood, she shall continue in a menstrual impurity for 7 days. And whosoever touches her shall be unclean until the evening. Everything also on which she lies during her menstrual cycles, during a menstrual impurity, shall be unclean, and everything on which she sits shall be unclean. Well, we are done with the men. Now we are on the women's menstrual cycle. Right? Now again, women's menstrual cycle is mentioned in the Bible. And again, before the Europeans came, our mothers, our grandmothers were already having their own menstrual cycle laws, or they have menstrual cycle laws that governs it. Everything that I've read here in Leviticus chapter 15, thereabout, was being practiced, or is being practiced by our Asian mothers until today. But you see, menstrual cycle is mentioned in the Bible. So if you are telling me that the European brought us civilization through the Bible, so the question again, did they came to teach our women how to take care of themselves during the menstrual cycle? No. In fact, these people learned everything from us. So folks, it's not everything that we can say on earth. There are so many African culture, tradition, and spirituality in the Bible that I can make reference to. It's just that the presentation is going to keep long. So they did not come to teach us everything. They brought their lifestyle. They brought their stuff. They brought the economic system. But they did not change us who we are. What they did is they changed our mentality towards who we are. So until the African, until the black man research into his own and build his own, we're going to continue to follow what the slave master have given to us. Our spirituality is never evil. Every nation was built on spirituality, on the native spirituality, not imported. Christianity, Islamic religion, all this man-made religion, all this Abrahamic religion, these are not spirituality. This is a religion, man-made organization. Habobo. So folks, I am bringing today's presentation to an end. But then, or before then, nobody will emancipate us but ourselves. We as a people must come together. Those who are ready to come together to build our spirituality, let's join hands and push. Those who are ready to help each other build economically, let us build. The journey is not going to be easy. Trust me, that's why I say freedom is not given on a silver platter. Freedom is taken. And you need men. You need strong women to take this freedom. Remember this. The man who enslaved you, the man who colonized you, will never give you an economic system, an educational system that will save you. They will never give you a God that will make you strong. Africans, black people, all over the world, it is time we need to come together and change our narratives. It is time we rewrite our stories. And I know my brother Toto Sao is working on his book. I'm also working on my books. You know, it's not easy combining work at the same time writing books. It's not an easy job. But you see, we have to work. We have to feed people. We have to save people. A lot of people are looking up to you and I. We cannot afford to disappoint them. The road may not be rosy. The road to freedom is full of thorns. But when you fight it to the end. I want to take my freedom even without my foot than to be a slave and be with the same foot there. Well, may the universe continue to grant us understanding. So that we can also continue to share this great knowledge with people, with our followers. Folks, I would like to encourage everyone to share this video so that those who have not joined us can also watch it and they may learn one or two things from it. Thank you very much. My name is Nufialaga Maupomo Kobla Nonyibe, your humble but fearless teaching high priest. Yes, my dear sister Amafa, Janice, everyone. Much love to everyone. Thank you for everything. May the universe continue to shine their light upon everyone who have tuned in. I don't know what you're going through. I don't know what you are feeling. I don't know what are your obstacles. I don't know what are your problems. But all that I can say is keep pushing. Be honest with yourself. Be honest with your soul. And the universe will open up doors that will blow up your mind. You see, most of our problems too are self-inflicted. So we need to have cool heads and do things in honesty, with all honesty. Treat people right. Don't think you have more than someone, so you disrespect them. No, the universe won't bless you. Be nice with everyone. Be humble, but don't be stupid. Be humble, but don't be stupid. I pray for good health for everyone. When there is good health, there is hope for the future. Toto Sao, one of my priests, a brother and a friend, thank you for joining my show. I know you come in between time. Let's try to link up. There's so much on the table. There's so much work needs to be done. They said many are called, but the laborers are few. Yes, let's do what we can as we have life. Thank you all. May the universe bless everyone. Akbanami, 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 akbanami.